Today's December 31st, 2023, the last day of the year, and boy, what a year it's been. To back up a ways, after college, I wanted to live a life that was untraditional. I wanted to travel, I wanted to experience things. I just didn't want to stay in my hometown and do the same thing I saw everyone else around me doing. Which, if that's what they want to do, that's good, but it wasn't for me. To be more specific, what I did was worked seasonal jobs that would provide housing, so I got to explore an area and I didn't have to pay rent. And then I got the idea to live out of a backpack or a suitcase and travel around Australia first and then Europe, and then I lived in a van after that, which was cool because you didn't have to, carry stuff around with you. Your home went wherever you did. And then this past year, of course, that's when I decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. So many ways of doing life. My goal was just to live untethered, I didn't want to have to be stuck paying rent somewhere and it's so much money, and then you have furniture that you have to put in storage if you're going to move out, and I didn't want any pets that I would have to figure out what to do with if I wanted to spend a few weeks away. I wasn't looking for a relationship, but I did find one on the AT, and now everything changed because one, I have someone that wants to live with me, and two, we're splitting rent, so it makes it a little more affordable. Plus, we got this super cute place in a very picturesque, historic downtown in a small town in Indiana. It's different, but all those years when I was living an untethered life, I always wanted, in the back of my mind, a little bit at first, but then more and more as the years went by, I always wanted a place to put my toothbrush where it could dry, not back in a toiletry bag right away. I wanted to just have my lay of the land. What grocery stores are around here? Do I recognize the staff at the library when I go? Just having things feel familiar. I just wanted the comfort and conveniences you get with having a steady place to live. But I also loved my untethered life. So now, what's my life going to be like moving forward? How am I going to balance the little things like comfort and convenience and having all my stuff in one place while also wanting to see the world? I guess my main goal for the coming year is to find that balance somehow. I really love my life now, but I also really liked my life the way it was before. How can I have the two? 2023 was a year of big change, and I don't know what 2024 is going to look like, but I'm ready for it. And here I am now, a year later. Simply put, it's been amazing. No lifestyle is perfect, of course, but getting those conveniences and comforts that I craved so long has been so satisfying. Before I jump into telling you all about the perks of this new lifestyle, I just want to say, first of all, why I'm telling you this. One, because for longtime viewers, y'all are a part of my life. I want you to be kept in the loop on, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm planning. And two, just for anyone that's watching, I think it might be interesting to get a perspective that's maybe different from yours. We're all trying to use the years in our lives the best we can. Okay, now let me tell you what I love. First of all, endless water. For example, if I was in my van or out on the trail and got something when I was cooking, like I got some crumbs or something on my hand. Well, crumbs is a bad example. Like coffee grounds, where it's really messy. First, I would brush off as much as I could, just dry, and then use a few drops of water, because if I used a lot, that would mean the more often I had to go get water. And now it's just turn on the sink, you're done, go on about making coffee or whatever I'm doing. Now I have heat In the wintertime, I have AC. In the summertime, I have 4 walls and a ceiling protecting me. I always have good Wi-Fi, whether that's for work, for fun, anytime I want. I don't even have to ask someone the password because I made up the password. I can go to the bathroom inside anytime I want. I can take a shower anytime I want. It never feels good to be sick, but at least when you're sick, in the privacy of your own home and in the comfort, in the air conditioning, that's a little better. I have a choice of clean, comfortable places to sit and hang out throughout the day. I can invite people over. Now that I have a full fridge, a full freezer, cabinets full of crock pots and muffin tins and all that good stuff, I'm finally learning to cook. A little bit at a time, but progress. And I like that now minimalism can be a choice, not a requirement. It's nice to hold on to things. I like to decorate for holidays, like just put a little something up to mark the occasion. It makes the weeks go by faster, but now I have enough space to store those decorations. And I have more hobbies because I can store craft supplies, I can store more video gear instead of just keeping my favorite of everything. I can have multiple and choose from them. I would have never had this big old microphone when I was living on the road. I used to try really hard to live without things like Q-tips or over-the-counter allergy meds or pain reliever because it was either going to take up space or I was just going to throw it away once I didn't really need it anymore. And now I can just hang on to those things till I need them again. It's so much easier. But okay, of course there are some downsides. Now that I'm paying for rent and utilities, it's harder to save money. Of course. That was a huge perk of my life before, that I could save money to go on trips. But now, of course, I really like all those utilities and stuff, so it's a trade-off. Also, more to clean. When I first moved in, I was like, oh man, I have to sweep this whole entire place. It was so much easier when I would just brush stuff out of my van. And looking back, this year feels less adventurous. Of course, I did do some stuff. I did a lot of things, actually. A lot of day hikes, even some bigger trips. Of course, not big compared to what I've done in the past. I spent 6 days kayaking a river in Florida. I took my van out west for a month to do some hiking and some paddleboarding. And I did a road trip to New Hampshire in the fall. One of my biggest takeaways from that is that I am pretty tired of driving now. For all of those trips, it was over a day of driving, and it's not the boredom that gets me, it's how much it hurts to just sit still all day. I also learned that spending a month in my van was very, very different from living in it. Of course, there were a lot of similarities, obviously, but it was different because it was really hot. When I was picking out where I wanted to go, I just looked for cool places. I was like, yes, it's summer. It's not going to be ideal, but I can handle it. And then sometimes when I got there, it was like, oh, it's harder to ignore unideal conditions when you're not out there. You know, it's easy in the planning stage. It'll be fine, but sometimes it can not be so fun. And I realized being back in my van, I'm a little spoiled now because I've gotten used to all the perks of living in an apartment. And a previous version of myself would have been like, that's really not cool. I wish... This is what past me would say. I wish I was always up for any adventure. But this version of me thinks that's okay. That's just the way things go sometimes. You get used to different things. And if you picture a Venn diagram with one circle being my interests and the other being what people like to watch videos about, I always try to make videos that are in the center of that Venn diagram. Because, you know, I want to be like enjoying this stuff. I don't want to make videos just because, and I want to make videos a lot of people want to watch because I just think it's really fun to entertain people, and I like sharing my adventures, you know, as many people that I can feel like I'm sharing them with, the better. So trying to be in the center of that Venn diagram, I learned a lot about that this year, and I'm learning more and more how to make the best videos possible. So you might be wondering what I'm going to do next year. Well, I still want to stay here, have a home base, but One, I know my friend is getting married in Alaska in July, so I'm going to Alaska. I don't know for how long, but definitely want to do some adventures up there. It's not the right time for me to do another trail like the PCT or CDT yet. I need to save some more money and just not feeling like the AT was so big. I'd like to space out those big trails in my life. But I'd like to do a backpacking trip that would be a couple 100 miles, last a few weeks or so. So I'm thinking of doing the Sheltowee Trace, which is in Tennessee and Kentucky. I believe it's about 300 miles. It's in a really beautiful part of Kentucky, and I've never been to the Tennessee part, but I'm sure it's pretty too. Although, what if there was a twist? What if... okay, back up for a second. I think researching how people used to go backpacking, what kind of gear they had, what different philosophies they used to use as far back as like Earl Schaefer, but also just like what did they do in my parents' generation, what did they do 10 years before I started hiking myself. I really think the history of backpacking is interesting. So what if I gathered a bunch of gear from different time periods and I learned about how they used to do things before the technology we have today? What if I did the Sheltowee Trace, but different sections of it with a different time period in mind? Ooh, I don't know how hard it's going to be to find vintage backpacking gear, but it's an idea. Just let me know how that sounds. Thank you all so much for watching. Seriously, thank you for being here this year, in the past, and for whatever is to come. Here's to 2025. See you all in the new year.